At first glance, there's nothing special about these goats, but for Alicia Coates, they've been life-saving.
Feed time! We were lying in bed one night and I was scrolling through Gumtree and there was 4 milking goats. And I went, oh, milking goats, I can do that. I could do that on my own.
After suffering a traumatic experience 3 years ago, Alicia lost her job.
I lost my self-dignity, my job title, small town, and fell into quite a deep depression to the point where I attempted suicide.
She sought help from a psychologist, but felt she was getting worse until the goats arrived.
It grew from being out of bed for half an hour to being out of bed for half a day, and I could see an improvement in my own mental health.
As the number of goats has grown, so has their purpose.
With the guinea pigs, just scrape off like the hay.
Did you want it washed out as well?
No.
They're now the star attraction of a care farm, helping young people develop practical skills and confidence.
It's great to learn about fencing and stuff and how to look after animals.
Alicia's farm sits on the edge of the rural town of Smithton. It's about as far northwest as you can go in Tasmania. It's a long drive to major services, and locals say that's one of the reasons that many people are struggling with poor mental health. Rates of mental illness are similar across the country, but in rural Australia, access to services is limited, and self-harm and suicide increase with remoteness.
We know that youth now have, especially in Tasmania, have got the highest rates of completed suicide of any state in Australia outside of the Northern Territory.
Suicide is the leading cause of death for young Australians. It's more prevalent than car crashes and accidental poisoning or drug overdose. Suicide represents 38% of deaths for 15 to 24-year-olds. It's increased from 25% 10 years before.
There's definitely a shortage of psychologists and mental health practitioners. There's long wait lists.
Youth worker Dudley Billings sees the negative impact social media is having on teenagers.
The way that people communicate via social media all the time can really lend itself to ruminative thought and a lot of isolation, or if it's unnoticed or if it's undiagnosed, and then it's exacerbated, and by the time people get into adulthood they can be dealing with some really complex issues.
Have you got a word yet?
I want to do beautiful.
Oh, you should. That really describes me.
It does.
It does. Look at you.
We've had our struggles. There's definitely been a number of suicides.
Jodie Saville is a youth worker with a local council. She runs a project called I Am Youth.
So we're taking photos and it's all about growing self-esteem and furthering ourselves and growing confidence in ourselves rather than trying to live up to other people's expectations.
It started locally with older women, but Jodie saw an opportunity to expand the focus.
Giving young people the skills to help them build resilience and build confidence so they can come back from, when there are just your average setbacks.
You get the sense in Smithton that the community really wants to work together on the issue of mental health. There's the small town benefit of everyone knowing each other, and many of the service providers work here at the 7up Youth Centre. The centre is fully funded by community donations. People can drop in for a free feed, meet friends and connect.
There's no pressure, it's not a structured space, so it's entirely on them. Like if they're having a down day and they want to chat to someone, the option is here. There's a couple of private spaces here.
It's also the headquarters for a new service, targeting teenagers needing lower level mental health support.
Conversations they've run in the community and the referrals that we're seeing coming through look as though we're going to get very busy very quickly.
The service has state government funding, but only enough for one part-time clinician.
So we're really hoping that that need that we're meeting at the moment is recognised and the service can be broadened out.
We know there's not enough psychologists, there's not enough psychiatrists, there's no inpatient facility for young people on the northwest coast, but that's something that can't be fixed by next week. It won't be fixed in a hurry, so we have to try and do something. We do the best that we can.
Selena Ross, ABC News.